Hey, souls and spirits out there, welcome back to this sacred space where we explore the great mysteries and traditions across religions and cultures and all of the things. Today, we're going to explore one of the most celebrated and spiritually significant times of the year, the summer solstice, because it's happening this weekend. Whether you know it as Midsummer or Litha or St. John's Day or Init Rami, if I say that correctly, or simply just the longest day of the year, cultures across the world have honored this turning point for thousands of years. So today we're going to travel from Scandinavia to the Andes to discover how our ancestors understood the power of the sun and the abundance of summer. So let's journey together into the mysteries of the summer solstice. The summer solstice occurs when Earth's north pole reaches its maximum tilt towards the sun. This usually happens around June 20th to 21st, depending on everything else in the northern hemisphere. On this day, the sun reaches its highest point in the sky, and the daylight lasts longer than any other day of the year. The word solstice comes from the Latin word sol, meaning sun, and sistere, meaning to stand still, if I said that right. If you watch the sunrise and the sunset points throughout the year, you'll notice that they kind of slowly move north and south along the horizon. And at the time of the solstice, that movement appears to kind of pause briefly before reversing direction. And ancient people noticed this phenomenon long before modern astronomy existed. For agricultural societies, the solstice was a really vital marker of the year. It announced that growing season had kind of reached its peak. Crops were flourishing, animals were reproducing, and communities celebrated this abundance that would hopefully carry them through the rest of the year. Yet hidden within the joy of the solstice and the light is also kind of the time when daylight will slowly begin to decrease. And ancients kind of understood this paradox as well. The moment of the greatest light is also the beginning of its return kind of towards the darkness. And this wisdom appears in countless myths and spiritual traditions around the world. Spiritually, the summer solstice represents fullness, abundance. It's the accumulation of growth. Seeds planted in the spring have become thriving plants. Ideas planted in the mind have kind of begun to take shape. Dreams nurtured through effort are kind of becoming reality. Many traditions view the solstice as a time to ask, what has kind of blossomed in my life? Where am I harvesting things? What have I learned since the beginning of the year? What needs to be celebrated? Life needs to be celebrated. The solstice often is associated with vitality and confidence and creativity and fertility and abundance and joy. The sun symbolizes consciousness itself. Its light illuminates these kind of hidden places within us, and many spiritual practitioners see this as a time and an opportunity to fully step into our personal power and purpose. Yet there is another lesson to remember. As the sun begins to gradually kind of descend after the solstice, we are reminded that all things move in cycles. Nothing remains at its peak forever. And the summer solstice teaches us to appreciate the present moment while recognizing the inevitability of change. For students of the Egyptian spirituality, the summer solstice carries another kind of special significance. Although the Egyptian New Year was not directly tied to the solstice itself, this season was closely associated with one of the most important celestial events in Egyptian culture, the rising of the star Sirius, also known to the Egyptians as Sopdet. Sirius was associated with the goddess Isis. It's kind of another one of her versions. Each year, Sirius would appear just before sunrise after a period of kind of invisibility. And its return heralded the annual flooding of the Nile, Zep Tepi, bringing fertility and life into the land. And the flooding transformed Egypt from kind of desert to abundance again. Thus, the appearance of Sirius became kind of a symbol of rebirth and divine blessing and this sacred renewal. For initiates of the Egyptian mysteries, this season was a reminder that divine light continually returns even after periods of darkness. The blessings of Isis were believed to flow through the waters of the Nile, nourishing the land and the soul of the people. One of the most famous solstice celebrations also occurs at Stonehenge in England. For thousands of years, people have gathered there to witness the sunrise on the summer solstice. This ancient monument is aligned so that the rising sun shines directly through some of the stones. The alignment demonstrates an impressive understanding of astronomy by the builders. Although we may never fully understand Stonehenge's purpose, many researchers believed its functions as kind of a ceremonial center connected to the solar observations. Today, thousands still gather before dawn. Modern druids, pagan spiritual seekers, and just curious visitors stand together awaiting the first rays of sunlight. As the sun kind of rises through these ancient stones, people cheer and they sing and they're drumming and meditating and celebrating. For many, it feels like participating in a ceremony that stretches back kind of thousands of years. In modern pagan and Wiccan traditions, the summer solstice is also celebrated as Letha. Letha is another turning of the wheel of the year. It represents the peak of solar energy. Bonfires are often lit to honor the sun. Flowers adorn homes and altars. Herbs are gathered at this time of year, are believed to hold a special, potent, magical property. Common themes right now include abundance and protection and healing and love and fertility again, and just personal empowerment. And many practitioners, myself included, charge crystals in the sunlight, and we harvest our herbs and perform rituals to focus on gratitude and manifestation. Letha reminds us to celebrate life while it's in full bloom. And I love that this is kind of the halfway point of kind of the year. I like checking in with myself at this time, and the goals I have kind of set for myself. Where am I at with those? What have I already achieved and like checked off my list? It's one of my favorite times to just kind of see where I'm at and see where I need to kind of still work on some things. Now, few places celebrate the summer solstice with as much enthusiasm as Scandinavia. In Sweden, Finland, Norway, and other Nordic countries, midsummer remains one of the most beloved holidays of the year, and it's definitely on my bucket list to visit at this time of year in one of those places to see the just awesomeness. Families gather outdoors, flower crowns are woven, dances are danced, feasts are shared beneath a nearly endless daylight. In some of the kind of northern regions, the sun really barely sets at all, which is crazy. And the midnight sun creates this atmosphere that feels almost magical. I can't even imagine. I want to experience it so bad. Folklore says that plants gathered on Midsummer's Eve possess extraordinary healing powers, and many different traditions emphasize that this is another moment of the year when the veil between our world and the spirit world is the thinnest. As Christianity kind of spread throughout Europe, many older solstice customs became associated with St. John the Baptist. St. John's Day is celebrated on June 24th. Bonfires remain a kind of central featured theme in the celebration. Communities gathered for singing and dancing and blessing, and in many places people leapt over fires for luck and purification and protection. And these traditions preserved many ancient solar customs beneath kind of this Christian framework. The symbolism was able to kind of remain remarkably similar through all of these. Fire represented divine light and transformation and spiritual renewal. In Peru and throughout kind of the Andes, the Incan civilizations celebrate Inti Raymi, the festival of the sun. Although it occurs during the southern hemisphere's winter solstice, it honors the same solar principle. The festival was dedicated to Inti, the sun god. The Incas viewed the sun as a source for all life and the divine ancestry of kind of the rulers there. Massive celebrations included offerings and processions and music and dance and ceremonial rituals. Today, the celebration has been revived a bit, and it's one of Peru's most important cultural festivals. Thousands gather to witness the colorful reenactments of ancient ceremonies. This is another bucket list for me. I think that would be beautiful. Many indigenous cultures throughout North America recognize the importance of the solstice. While traditions really varied widely among different nations, solar observations often played significant roles in ceremonial life. Some communities held dances and gathered connecting to the seasonal cycles. Others aligned structures or sacred sites with these solar events. These traditions reflected a deep understanding of humanity's relationship with nature. Rather than seeing themselves as separate from the earth, indigenous people often viewed themselves as participants within this kind of living web of these relationships with everything around them. The solstice served as a reminder of balance and gratitude and reciprocity. Many plants have long been associated with midsummer. These kind of include St. John wort, mugwort, yarrow, chamomile, rose, lavender, calendula. People believe these herbs reach peak potency during the solstice season. Bundles were hung in homes for protection. I know I do this. Infusions were prepared for healing. I do this as well. Flowers were decorating doorways and sacred spaces. The abundance of summer inspired people to gather nature's gifts while they were at kind of their fullest expression. You don't need to visit Stonehenge or attend a large festival to honor the summer solstice, though. Like all the other festivals, you can do simple things at home. Simple rituals can be so incredibly meaningful and powerful to your own kind of spiritual journey. Consider greeting the sunrise. Definitely spending as much time outside as you possibly can around the solstice. Create a flower crown. You can do it with, I know I have an abundance of white clover in my yard. You can do it with that just as easy as you can big flowers. Light a candle to represent the sun. Write down everything that has flourished in your life this year. Express gratitude. Meditate upon your goals. Gather herbs. Share a meal with loved ones and use some of those herbs that you've gathered. Create a bonfire if it's safe and permitted. But most importantly, take time to appreciate the beauty of the season. The solstice invites us to pause and to recognize the blessings that surround us and look at life in its kind of fullest potential here. I mean, everything is so vibrant. The summer solstice reminds us that humanity has always looked to the heavens for meaning. Across cultures and continents, people observed the movement of the sun and recognized that they were a part of something greater than themselves. Whether through the Egyptian mysteries, the Celtic celebrations, Scandinavian festivals, Christian traditions, indigenous ceremonies, or modern spiritual practices, one message really kind of remains constant: that life moves in cycles. Light and darkness dance together. Growth follows planting. Harvest follows growth. Rest follows abundance. And the sun continues its eternal journey across the sky. So as you celebrate this season, may you recognize the light within yourself. May you honor what has blossomed. May you embrace the abundance that surrounds you. And may the blessings of the summer solstice illuminate your path in the months ahead. So until next time, may your days be filled with wonder, with wisdom, and with the living light of the sun. I'll see you soon.